Okay, so the first task that we're going to do to create this sprinkler is we're going to add a simple clock to a graphical user interface that our users can see. So the first step is already done. I've logged into my IoT Creator instance. The next thing that I'm going to do is install the dashboard palette, and that gives me the user interface as well as the options of buttons and text and that kind of thing. So I'm going to go to my menu, say Manage Palette, say Install. I'm going to search for Node Red Dashboard. And notice for me it's already installed, so it's grayed out without the option to install it here. But if you were doing this for the first time, you would have the option to install. You would click it, and in a few seconds you would get a success message. But mine's already done, so I'm just going to close this, and you can confirm that you have the dashboard palette by going to your left palette manager, the palette manager on the left of your screen, and confirm that you have this dashboard group here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag in the local time clock. This is an IoT Creator node. I'm going to drag this onto my workspace. And then I'm also going to drag in a text node. So first I'll search for a text node. And I'll drag this on my workspace. And I'm going to double click to configure this text node. So a text node is a user interface object, so it needs to be part of a group. So I'm going to click a pencil to create a new group here. And I'm going to give this group a name. I'm going to call it time. And this group needs to be part of a tab, so I'm going to create a new tab here as well. I'm going to call this tab Sprinkler Control. I'm going to give an icon called FA-tint. You can see these icons in font, awesome icons. Just happens to be an icon that looks a bit like a water droplet. State is enabled, nav menu is visible, so I say add, and it drops me back into my group. And the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to widen this group to 16 units wide and remove the group name. Add that and drop back into my text node now. I'll adjust the size of this text node, make it 3 by 1. And I'm going to remove the label because once this is on the user interface, it's very clear that it's a clock. It doesn't need an extra label. But I am going to give it a useful internal name. I'm going to call this display current date time. And click done. Now I'm going to connect my text node to my local time clock. And I'm going to click deploy. And if I go to my user interface by putting in /UI after my port, I can see that I have a tab called Sprinkler Control. And on it I have a clock that's displaying the current time in UTC. So now I'm going to go back to my workspace. And the last thing I'm going to do is just add a comment to this. So I'll search for the comment node, drag it onto here. This is a good place to add a comment to tell you what's happening below. And I'm just going to give it a name here. So I'm going to double click. And I'm going to paste in the name that I took from my course. It says setting up the local time clock using appropriate offset from UTC time. And that just about covers it, so I'm not going to put an additional comment here. I'm just going to say done. And I'll deploy my changes.